Executive Officer of the Egg-Free Cake Box. I opened the first Cake Box concept store in 2008, and I co-founded the franchise business in 2009. I learned my trade on the trade. I'm been in food business all my life. I've been a retailer, wholesaler, manufacturer as well. I've done food functions, etc. And when I saw this concept, I went into baking cakes. Pardip?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Pardip Das, Chief Finance Officer for CakeBox. Co-founded the Egg-Free CakeBox franchise with Sukh in 2009. I've got 20 years experience as an accountant within the food and beverage industry, and I'm a qualified management accountant, qualified whilst I was working for Starbucks Coffee Company.
And I'm proud that we now operate from 3 sites across the UK, totaling 50,000 square feet. We continue to grow our shop estate and have hit 174 stores. This allows us to offer our delicious egg-free products to more of the population to enjoy. We offer a variety of methods to order our products, which includes 1-hour click and collect, in person, or delivery. Next slide. On this slide, you can see a selection of our mouth-watering offerings, from our birthday cakes to our grab-and-go slices and cupcakes. It also shows our other offerings, such as our indulgent cheesecake selection, tea time treats, such as our loaf cakes. This slide shows the franchisee proposition. With an average of 93k EBITDA potential earnings, I believe we offer a very good proposition to our potential franchisees, who are also enticed by the social hours and our turnkey package. One of the biggest attractions is, unlike the normal franchise offerings, we do not charge a management service fee or a marketing levy. The next slide will show you our franchise application process. When an online application is received, an application form is sent out, and our senior team will vet that, and if they're seen suitable, the potential franchisee is then invited for a presentation in head office. Once we've got to know them, they got to know us, we will select the ones which we think are the most suitable, and they will be invited for a one-to-one second interview. If they pass that, we are very much franchisee led. The franchisee comes to us with an area, we will assess it, and if we think it's suitable, then we'll go into a site selection. Once the site has been selected, we've got the legal process, and while the legal process is going on, the franchisee gets ready for training. As soon as we get the keys to the premises, the build starts, and then the training starts. So the franchisee is trained in every aspect of the business. As in 4 to 6 weeks, that is, the store is ready. We start our pre-opening marketing, and then the store is opened. Here we got onto the financial headlines with Pardip.
Yeah, thanks, Sukh. So yeah, we've had a very good first half. Revenues up 92% to £16.5 million. Gross profit is up 83% to £7.6 million, and our bottom line has increased more than double. Our EBITDA going up 110% to £4.1 million. Now, this is against a backdrop of where we were closed for 6 weeks in the previous half year. So it's only really fair to show a 4-month comparison, and you'll see the graphs on the right-hand side. Revenue, gross profit, and EBITDA have all increased in excess of 50% on a more comparable basis. Our earnings per share have gone up 116% to 7.5p. We paid an interim dividend of 2.5p, which we're paying next month. It's going ex-dividend actually tomorrow, and that represents about 1/3 of what we would pay. Net assets have gone up 30%. I'll come on to that later on. And we always said we were a cash generative business with low capex, and that's evident with cash at bank at £5.6 million and a net cash balance of £4.2 million.
And here we have the operational highlights. We had a record first half performance with further strong growth and strategic progress. The particular highlights from the period are the store openings, along with our successful trial of the kiosk in Asda supermarket locations, which I'll talk to you about later in the presentation. With our continuous growth, we have added another 35 stores to our portfolio, with 20 new stores added in the period. We have gone into partnership with Asda to bring our products to their customers with another 4 locations to complement the 7 locations we already have. Due to our forward planning, we have experienced very little disruption to our supply chain, with more than 3 months stock on most items. And to satisfy our customers who wanted less cream, we successfully launched our naked cake range, which is also bang on trending at the moment. This is a slide about the franchisee operational highlights. It's worth bearing in mind, as Pardip said, that our stores were closed for 2 months during H1 last year, so a 4-month comparison is a better indicator of performance. But you can see we've had strong growth across the board, with strong like-for-like growth, franchisee turnover, and online sales. As we're a franchise business, it's very important to keep in mind what this means for the individual franchisees that make up the CakeBox family. Who are now making an average of 93k EBITDA a year. That's a highly attractive number, as evidenced by the 40 franchisees who now own more than 1 store. If you go to the next slide, this shows a rapidly growing portfolio of franchise stores, and as I've said, we've seen a really strong period for opening new stores, with 20 added during the period, supported by our new distribution centres. On top of this, we've also continued to open shopping centre kiosks, which represent an attractive bolt-on offering for existing franchisees. And if we take a step back and look at the bar chart on the left of this slide, it's also worth noting that we've doubled the size of our franchise store estate since our IPO in 2018. It also shows the gaps where we have a potential to open more stores, such as Scotland, Wales, North East, and the South West. I'll hand back next slide, please.
Profit and loss statement. So as we mentioned earlier, our revenues were up 92% and 50% on a like-for-like basis. Gross profit has contracted about 200 basis points, but we're okay with that, because what that represents is that because we've opened more stores, and our profitability on opening new stores is 30% on the build, versus a much higher gross profit on the supply of sponges and cake ingredients. The other factor was that freight costs increased substantially. We're looking at increase from about $2,500 to about $17,000, which is we feel is going to go into the middle of next year. And so what we've done in September is pass those costs on to our franchisees, because there was a substantial increase in costs. So we've kind of weathered that for the second half, but taken the hit in the first half on that. And if you look at the bottom, profit after tax increased from £1.4 million to just shy of £3 million for the half year. If you move over the page to the group balance sheet, strong balance sheet position. Net assets are up in line with profitability. All our property at head office, so the franchisor, is all freehold, and kind of we've got a static numbers for working capital, debtors, and short-term creditors. Moving on to the cash flow statement on the next page. So we always said we're a cash generative business. You can see that cash from operations risen to £3.7 million from last year's £1.6 million. And if you look at the bottom, it actually seems that cash hasn't gone up that much. So 5.3 million at September 2020 and 5.6 million pound at September 21. But the fact of the matter is that we actually paid a dividend after the half year. So we cancelled the final dividend and reinstated a special dividend, which was paid after the half year. So in essence, the comparison figure is about £4 million against this year's £5.6 million.
Yeah, so I want to talk about strategic initiatives, and if we go to the next slide, this will show our partnership with Asda. Well, we disclosed some more details today in terms of the Asda partnership, which we previously referred to as a major supermarket chain. Much like our shopping centre kiosk offerings, this provides an attractive bolt-on opportunity for existing franchisees and allows us to continue to increase the group's brand exposure. Fit-out costs are covered by Asda and sales go through a franchisee's tills, providing attractive economics for franchisees. We've had a successful trial of 7 kiosks and have since opened a further 4, taking the total number to 11 currently, and intend to open further kiosks during the FY22. If we go to the next slide, we once again got a record number of deposits from potential franchisees. Obviously, this isn't a guarantee, but it's a better to take this as an indicative rather than modelling it. But the key point is that we continue to see significant interest in our franchise proposition, which underpins our confidence in our ongoing store rollout. This slide shows the distribution of the deposits for the areas received, allowing us even further coverage of the country. If we go to the next slide, as I said earlier, we've now more than doubled our store estate since IPO in 2018. I think it's worth noting that we've continued to invest in maturing and future-proofing the business and providing ourselves with the infrastructure to support this growth. We've opened new warehouses and distribution facilities, but we've also further invested in our people, processes, and infrastructure, giving us confidence that we can continue to grow sustainably. And if we go to the last slide, and the next one. In terms of the full year, current trading has remained strong with 14.4% like-for-like sales in October, and we expected to open 32 stores this year, meaning another 12 in H2, 3 of which we've already opened. In summary, we're confident in full year expectation and making further progress in the years ahead. And we're happy to take any questions that you may have.
So we've had lots and lots of questions, so let's just get cracking on. Apart from cakes, do you have plans to introduce other kind of food items?
There's 68 million people in this country. There's 365 days in the year. That equals 180,000 birthdays a day. We have not even scratched that surface yet. So 95% of our sales is the celebration cake, and I think that's what we're wise to be concentrating on.
A lot of questions about the franchise number potential. So, kind of what do you see as the potential number of franchises in total in the UK, I guess, and where would you like that to be in 5 years' time?
We at IPO, we had a wish list of 250 shops. We have now started talking about locations rather than stores. So that would include Asda kiosks and supermarket kiosks, and there's other locations that we can open at. And we're aiming around 400 to 450 locations in the next few years.
Is the arrangement with Asda exclusive at all, or could you work with other supermarket chains or other concessions in a similar way?
No, it's not exclusive. It is open-ended, but because Asda was the first to trust us, we will be with them for at least a couple of years before opening in other supermarkets.
Good question here. What is your what is the USP? Where is the economic moat?
Sorry, repeat that.
The question is, what's the USP? Where is the economic moat on the business model?
Well, where's the USP? We consider ourselves the Amazon of the cake market. We are providing a cake at your convenience, at your lifestyle. So you want a cake right now, walk into any of our stores, get a fresh cream cake, personalized there and then. If you want to order from your office or your home, click, order in an hour, collect in an hour. Or if you want it delivered, we will deliver it to you. And by having this unique model, we have actually created demand, created markets where there wasn't one before. For example, we have a peak at GCSE results and A-level results. And the only reason we have that is because you know you can get your cake as soon as you get your results. It's 5 8 stars, well done, or it's commiserations, better luck next time. They can come in and collect their cake.
Are the Asda stores as profitable as normal franchise stores?
The rent is much lower, and the rent includes all the utilities, and so it's a very good bolt-on for the franchisee. And with the turnovers at the moment, it's showing an average of 50% of a store sales with very little rent on top.
Are you struggling with recruitment at all? Not with the franchisees, but them getting staff in their stores?
And that is the beauty of the franchise system, or when the best manager is the franchisee, because it's their shop. And the more effort they put into it, and the more they produce turnover, the more money they get. And yes, like every other business in this country at the moment, we are struggling with recruitment. And because these are franchise stores, they're not struggling so much because the franchisee steps in themselves and does the work. But yes, everybody at the moment is struggling with recruitment.
And next up, you both own a substantial share of the business. What's your end game for taking money out over the coming years?
Well, we're quite comfortable, but it all depends on the investor demand. If there's enough investor demand, there was quite a lot of pressure last year, so we did sell down a bit more. And if the market requests that we sell down, then we will seriously consider doing so.
Next up, question about the number of stores in the south and southwest. I think the map may have shown that to be underrepresented in that area. Any reason for that, or are you planning to open stores in those areas?
Again, we are franchisee led. So when a franchisee comes to us, we've got 62 deposits at the moment. And so we're concentrating on those areas. And so if and when that dries up a little bit, then we will target specific areas. But we're so lucky that we've got a lot of potential franchises in the pipeline, and the franchisees want to open in their local area. So as and where they want to be, that's where we will locate.
And are there any plans to take the business overseas?
My wish list is to take it to be world dominant, the world dominant cake box. And of course, I'm always thinking ahead, and my wish list would be eventually to take it abroad. But we've got a lot of work to do in the UK yet. We're not highly saturated the market, but once we're approaching that, then I don't see why we wouldn't go abroad.
Question about footfall and high street footfall. Do you see that recovering to kind of pre-COVID levels? It's still a long way off. How are you finding that?
We were born in the recession in 2008. And we were really resilient and had our highest growth in those early years. And we've been in the worst pandemic for a generation, and we've got like sales of 14.4%. And so, or a recession come or a pandemic come, it doesn't affect us. Or whether the high street goes up or down, it doesn't affect us, because when you have a birthday, you're not going to celebrate like Victoria Beckham and have a fruit cake. You're going to have a proper cake. And your children want to celebrate with a cake. So we're both recession, pandemic, and high street recession proof.
And how are online deliveries or online sales and deliveries going? Is that significant for you now?
So I get that, Sukh? We did see quite a big uptake in online deliveries up to March of this year while we had the lockdown. But look, our offering for online is different. Our customers still want to come and collect their cake. And so what we have found in the last 6 months, as shops and shopping centres have opened up, we're more stagnant on online sales. They're kind of flatlined. But that doesn't mean the customers are not coming through our doors, because they are. The only difference is they don't want a cake delivered, they want to come and pick it up. And that is evident with our online sales. They're going up, but our sales are going up as well. But the evidence is that we are at like-for-like sales of 13.3%, and October alone at 14.4%. So we are getting that growth, albeit not on online.
And you mentioned earlier certain costs increasing. Are you able to pass costs on to customers? Have you put the price of products up at all?
We have a policy at CakeBox to increase prices, retail prices, to our customers every 18 months to 24 months. and that time is coming in January. So we're already looking at what price increase we're going to put through, and it looks like between 3 and 7% our cake prices will go up. But the beauty of it is that we haven't put our costs up to franchisees, so there's no reason for them to put up prices up until now. So I mentioned about freight costs going up. That's the only price increase that we've had given to our franchisees. So they will be able to recoup back to their gross profit margins that they were getting when we have this retail price rise in January.
And what's the largest number of franchises operated by a single franchisor?
We've got more than 40 franchisees who are multi-site operators, with the largest having 8 stores. So we're not in a danger of a Domino's a situation where there's too much power in one or two hands. And it's the ambition of our franchisees, how capable they are of operating more than one store. So we envisage about 10 stores would be at the maximum, but we've got over 40 who've got more than one site.
Next up, we've got time for a couple more quick ones. First up, what are the biggest risks for the business?
Well, again, we are so unique that we don't have a like-for-like competitor across the country. And my biggest risk was what if the Enfield bakery burnt down? But by opening up the Bradford site and the Coventry site, that's allayed that fear. And there's always going to be an element of risk, like a rogue franchisee or some rogue staff who may try to sabotage the cakes, etc. But we minimize all that by stringent procedures that we have in place. And 13 years without an incident, I think that's a testimony of our systems.
You said there's no kind of direct like-for-like competitor, but who do you think are the main competitors? That kind of discretionary spend, where is it going if it doesn't come to you?
Again, like I said, there's 180,000 birthdays in the country every day. And again, it's about our availability. We're not stretched all over the country yet. And so a lot of people, we've just opened in Weisbeck yesterday. And the reaction we got to our products, we had never even heard of us there. And so, or as we get bigger and we get better known, we can get stronger and stronger and even less competition. And again, everybody has a budget, everybody has a spend where they do. And you've got the local operators, you've got the Gale Bakery type or kind of bakery, you've got the owner occupiers. So it's very minimal competition.
Lovely. Gentlemen, Sukh, Pardip, thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening. Thank you for the updates.
Great. Thank you very much.